If you struggle to give your trap beats that dark and ominous sound, you're not alone. I personally struggled with that for years, but achieving dark sounding beats doesn't have to be complicated. In this video, I'm going to show you my system for making dark trap beats that sound just like this. Now let's open up Ableton and get right into it. Dark beats typically get their sound from minor scales because they have more dissonant pairs. I've been liking D sharp minor lately, so I'm going to use that scale and set the tempo to 155 BPM. To start, load up any sound and start laying out a top line melody. I usually like to start with this dark preset in Noir. The reason I like starting with a top line is because once you have it laid out, it makes finding a set of chords much easier. Now to lay out dark sounding chords, I like to start by finding a progression of root notes that sounds good, and make sure to use as many half steps as you can. And as you can hear, I find that a descending pattern like this usually ends up working really well. Now let's turn these into chords by finding the next note in the scale, skipping it, then adding one on the third, then skipping the next note, adding one on the fifth. And because these chords are so low, I'm going to go through and remove all the middle notes and turn them into power chords to make them sound less muddy. And now from here, once you have a good chord progression laid out, you can play with it a little bit to see if you can make it sound a little dark. I think I'm going to start by seeing if I could add some passing notes in here or chop the chords up a little bit. So I chopped this note here and then added a passing note here, and then added a whole extra chord note up here with passing notes here and here. And now you can start looking for sounds to layer in to make the whole thing sound darker. So this patch in Massive sounds really good, but it's a little deep, so I think I'm going to get rid of these bottom notes in it. And then I'll try shifting it up an octave to see how that sounds. I think that sounds a lot better, but I'm going to bring the volume down to kind of mix it in with the piano a little better. And I think this patch in Deft Line sounds really good too. And then I'm going to go through and clean these sounds up a little bit. So I'm going to start with an EQ on both of them. And I'm going to filter out the lows a little bit. And then I'd like to just give the highs a tiny boost to give it a little more air. And then on this pluck, I'm going to add Raum just to give it a little more space. And then finally, I'm going to go over to our panning, and then I'm going to split them left and right. Let's go 15 and then minus 15. And that's going to help keep the sounds from clashing since they're in a similar frequency space. Now I think I'm going to try to find a violin or some strings to add in. And now I think I want to add a respace to kind of fill out the low end a little bit. And I really like this preset in Sublab XL. And then if it's a little too gritty and kind of bright in the top end, which you don't really want out of a sub bass, you can grab a low pass and then filter out the top end to kind of tone it down a little bit. And then to finish off the melody, I like to add textures or accent hits. An accent could be something like a synth noise, sound effect, or a vocal shot. I think for this beat, vocals will sound pretty good. Arcade has a ton of awesome vocal samples and instruments. So let's scroll through the packs and see if we can find one that sounds good. So I'm going to record that in and see how it sounds. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this and hit bounce to new track. So now what I can do is I can adjust this however I want. And I'm going to start by filtering out the lows. And then same thing with the highs to kind of make a band pass. Then I'm going to throw thermal on there. And then I really like this vocal shine preset. And I'm going to throw some reverb on there. And then I'm going to split each section by hitting Control E. And then I'm going to alternate up and down an octave. And now what if I open this up and then double the length? And then drag it over, extend it all the way. But I'm going to highlight this part, and then I'm going to delete that. And then to add texture, I've been loving this new plugin by Cactus called Layerizer. It turns a multi-step process of adding different plugins and bouncing and chopping into a single plugin workflow. So I added this to a return track, and then I'm going to send the entire melody group to the return track. And then I think I'm going to use this filtered grain preset. Now I added a new audio track, and then I'm going to set that to resampling, and then solo the layerizer, and record that to audio. Then I'll start by EQing it. Then I'm going to add auto pan tremolo, pull this shape down like that, invert it, and then I'm going to go to rate, and then I'll put that to a quarter synced rate. And I think that pretty much finishes up the melody, so now we can add some drums. Now, if you've watched any of my recent videos, you know that I'm dropping my first ever trap bundle here really soon. It's a full trap suite with roughly 1,000 samples, loops, melodies, one-shots, and sound effects. Click the link in the pinned comment or the description to sign up for the waitlist and grab a huge launch day discount. As always, I like to start with the snare and the hi-hat to start building the bounce. And you can see here that in my arrangement, I always like to make sure that there's no hi-hat hitting on the snare, just as a simple way to help it punch through in the mix. And instead of a counter snare, I think I'm going to use this clap. And then I want to add some movement to my hi-hat, so I'm going to open up my hi-hat channel. And then I'm going to go over to controls, and down here where it says random pan, I think I'm going to boost that to about 25%. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the hi-hats bounce from ear to ear and make it feel a little more alive. And the next way I want to make this feel like it's got a little more movement is to add some percussion. Just a real simple pattern to add a little bit of movement to it. And I think I'm going to look for a percussion loop too to even spice it up a little more. And I'm going to use Co-Producer for that. I'm going to make sure it shows that I'm in D sharp minor. And then I think I'm going to type in beat and moving loop for trap beats. I really like this loop. So I'm going to drag that in, but we obviously wanted a percussion loop, not a full drum loop. So I'm going to get rid of all these kick drums. And then I'm also going to get rid of all these snares. I'm going to grab that whole thing and hit Command J to consolidate it. And now we have a new percussion loop. And once you have a good bounce that you like, add your kick and your 808. After a quick arrangement and some transitions, here's the final beat. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to sign up for the Grim Trap Bundle waitlist to claim your launch day discount today. If you want to watch some more of my beat making tutorials, click here.